The Darkling Thrush, written by Thomas Hardy. The first stanza. I leant upon a coppice gate when frost was sceptre grey, and winter's dregs made desolate the weakening eye of day. The tangled vine stems scored the sky like strings of broken lyres, and all mankind that haunted me had sought their household fires. Now let's talk about the meanings. I here has been referred for the speaker. Coppice is referring for the wooden gate. Okay, here you have the visual imagery in the first line. Then when we come to the second line, when frost was sceptre grey. Now frost here has been personified. Sceptre grey is referring for the grey and dull frost, which is taken as a ghost. Okay, it here you even in this line you have metaphor. Coming to the third line, and winter dregs made desolate. Now winter dregs is talking about the last part of the winter, end of the winter season. Desolate means dull, cheerless, lonely. The weakening eye of day. Now here weakening eye of day, sun has been personified. Okay, it seems that the day is having an eye, and this is the reason it is treated as personification. It is also referred as a metaphor. Metaphor, when we talk about a metaphor, sun is compared to the eye. Okay, and this is the reason it is considered as a metaphor. The tangled vine stems coat the sky. Now tangled is interwoven. Vine stems has been taken for the stems of a climber named Vine. Scored is reached, and here in this line you also get alliteration. Okay, then coming to the next line, like strings of broken lyres. Now lyre, you all must be knowing, it is an instrument, a musical instrument. So if you consider both these lines, the tangled vine stems scored the sky like strings of broken lyres. So here you have simile. Why? Because like word has been used. And all mankind that haunted me had sought their household fires. So haunted is visited or lived, ni is near, then sought is retired, household fire is means the fire inside the house where they can go and sit next to it to warm themselves up. Now here basically when we talk about this particular stanza, we see that the poem opens with the description of a very dreary, very bleak winter landscape. Everything is seems to be cold and dark. Okay, it is the end of the day, in fact the end of the 19th century. Main themes which have been talked about in the poem are perseverance, birth and death cycle, man and nature. The main important prominent things which are visible in this poem, they are the helplessness of man, the unavoidability of destiny, the indifference of nature and of gods. Okay, so you will find various variety of themes in this poem and in the forms of the poetry also. We have talked about it in the beginning itself. Okay, and overall you can even consider that hope is also one of the important themes which have been presented in the poem. Okay, although it starts with a note of hopelessness, but with the entry of the thrush we get to see that there is still hope left. Okay, so overall it is stating, or it also talks about the theme of being hopeful. Before we go through the poem, let me clear a few points related to this poem. This poem basically talks about the end or the death of the 19th century. When we see and when we go through the poem, we find that the poet is quite influenced by the melancholiness, the despair and the uncertainty that was basically marked in the Victorian age. Okay, and this poem was penned down by him on 29 December 1900. So here we find the speaker standing leaning against the wooden gate, and he can see right in front of him the winter landscape. It is totally dull and gloomy. Everything seems grey and dull, exactly like a ghost. Why? Because frost has spread all around. The day is coming to an end. Okay, now here one thing has to be signified, that in the winters we also know that the brightness of the sun is not exactly as it is during the summers, and that is the reason, one more meaning you can derive out here, that it is the weak sunlight. Now the sun is always taken as a source of life and light, and it is also dying out. So everything means whatever is right in front of the speaker, it seems to him that it is a state of complete, a total hopelessness. The tangled vine stems coat the sky like strings of broken lyres. Even the stems of the vine climber, which are scoring to the sky, which are reaching out to the sky, are totally covered with frost. And it seems, it is being compared here, that it seems that the strings of this beautiful nature lyre, the musical instrument, is also having the broken strings. Okay, it cannot bring any tune to life. It is dull and gloomy all around. No tune, no harmony can be created by nature also. And this is the reason why mankind all around, the people who are living out there, have gone back home. Why? Because their minds are conflicted and they do not want to get any kind of solution. They are not getting any kind of solution, and that is the reason they want to retire home to warm themselves by the fireside. Second stanza. The land's sharp features seem to be the century's corpse outlined. His crypt the cloudy canopy, the wind its death lament. The ancient pulse of germ and birth was shrunken, hard and dry, and every spirit upon earth seemed fervorless as I. Now here the meanings. Sharp is prominent. Century here has been personified. It dies, it seems to die out exactly as a human being. Corpse is for the dead body. Outlet is laid for burial. Okay, so crypt is tomb. Cloudy canopy, here you have alliteration as well as you once again have visual imagery here. The wind its death lament. Lament is mourning or crying, or it is also denoting a funeral song. Okay, crying out at the death of the 19th century. The ancient pulse. Pulse here is the rhythm of germ and birth. Now germ and birth here has been taken for conception and delivery. Shrunk, hard and dry here means slowed down extremely. Okay, and fervorless is devoid of zest or excitement. So here in this 2nd century, the main prominent feature which we come across is that here the poet says, he's speaking about, it is the end of the 19th century. It is means everything has come to a close. Okay, everything has come to a close. It is the death of the 19th century, as I've already related that it has been personified. Okay, and the corpse of this 19th century is being laid out for its burial. Okay, and the tomb, here the crypt has been treated as a tomb, so the tomb is being laid out. The speaker is looking at the clouds and which are hanging above, forming a canopy, and it feels that the clouds would serve as a tomb for the dead body of the 19th century. right? Then here when we talk about the wind, it's death lament, and it seems that the breeze that is blowing, the wind which is blowing is singing a death song, the death song which is usually sung on the death of the 19th century. The ancient pulse of German birth was shrunken, hard and dry. Now here when we talk about this line, it seems that the process of conception and birth has drastically slowed down. Why? Because of the extreme weather condition. The rhythm of it has slowed down. It seems to this process of conception and delivery is not going on at a fast rate. It has slowed down extremely. Why? Because the confusion was there in the mind of the people at that time. So here we are talking about that only. And the spirit upon the earth seemed fervorless as I. So every living creature, including the speaker, here I is denoting for the speaker himself. So he says that everything, whatever I see, seems to have come to a stop, even including me. Everything seems to be devoid of zest or excitement, or it seems to be coming to the stage where it seems that there is no life present in it. All the things of nature seem to mourn on the passing of the century, the death of an era in which the old ways of life or the values of life which the people believed, had been believing from their past, means their faith in religion, their faith in God, has come to a stop. Okay, it seems that it has been shaken drastically by the new achievements of science and technology. Okay, the science and technology had advanced a lot, and it seems that it had shaken the old beliefs, the old trust, the faith which the people were having on religion. Okay, and there was no sort of consolation, or nobody was there to give them any kind of solace, and this was the reason why nobody was wanting to interact with anyone. Okay, and they wanted to go and go back to their home. They wanted to be left all alone. Okay, there was a sort of a confusion, and this was the reason nobody was there to clear their doubts, and this was the best option for them to retire back home and just to warm themselves by the side of the fire. So he is not sure that what the new era is going to bring for them. Okay, and that is why there is a lot of confusion in the mind of the people. The third stanza. At once a voice arose among the bleak twigs overhead in a full-hearted even song of joy ill-limited. An aged thrush, frail, gaunt and small, in blast beruffled plume, had chosen thus to fling his soul upon the growing gloom. Now here in this stanza we see a contrast between the speaker's hopelessness and the bird's song. The entry of the bird's, the thrush and her song, it is presenting before us hopefulness, a state of hopefulness. So here in the meanings, we have in the very first line, the voice arose among. So it is presenting before us the auditory imagery. Then the bleak twigs overhead. Bleak here is standing for dull and dark. Twigs is set for the small leafless branches of the tree. Full-hearted is whole-hearted. Even song is set for the song sung during the evening time. Ill-limited is unlimited, boundless. Then aged is the old bird. Frail stands for weak. Gaunt is thin and fragile. Small is small in size. So in blast beruffled plume. Now here beruffled is disordered. Plume is the feathers. Okay, the tail, where the feathers are. Okay, the tail of the bird. So disordered feathers, which are disordered or beaten or battered badly by the wind, the stormy winds. had chosen thus to fling his soul. Now, his fling his soul is to pour out its soul. Fling soul is to pour out its soul, okay, or it is also meant for full of vigor and energy, okay, upon the growing gloom. Gloom is darkness. So here we see the picture of a thrush, okay, entering the scene amidst the signs of total bleakness and this winter landscape. We go for the explanation of this stanza, we get to know that the first two stanzas are presenting before us a landscape, a winter landscape, which is a true picture of hopelessness, okay. It is a state of bleakness and desolation. There is no joy found anywhere, and all of a sudden now in the third stanza we find the presentation of auditory imagery in the way how by the evening song which is being sung by this aged, frail, gaunt and small little thrush, okay. So, and the song, the way it happens to sing, sitting on the dull and dark branches, leafless branches of the tree. She is sitting out there and wholeheartedly she is trying to sing out with full energy and vigor a beautiful song. Although the bird's body, we get to know from this word blast beruffled plume that it is totally battered, totally disordered, okay, beaten badly by the wind, but still it cannot forget to sing out, to pour out its heart with full energy and vigor and sing in this dark, bleak winter landscape her beautiful song. As her song, thus the bird's song is an indication that nothing is absolutely negative. Even in the negativity which surrounds us, there is something hopeful. We should always remain hopeful. Find something positive within that negativity too. So the contrast between the speaker and the bird's feeling are an essential part which have been presented here in this third stanza. The last stanza of the poem. So little cause for carolings of such ecstatic sound was written on terrestrial things afar or nigh around, that I could think there trembled through his happy good night air some blessed hope whereof he knew and I was unaware. So with the meanings, caroling is singing of songs, ecstatic is joyful, okay. Terrestrial is standing for earthly, related to earth. Afar is far away, nigh is near. Then you have his happy good night song. His here has been taken for the bird, okay. A good night song is the song which seems to bid good night to the to its listeners, those who are listening to the songs of the bird. It seems that the bird is bidding them good night. So some blessed hope is hoping for some blessings, okay, in the future, and whereof is of which. Unaware means not aware of, not knowing, unknown. So here in this last stanza of the poem, we find very clearly that although the hope is not visible to the speaker, okay, but here it is indicated by the song of the bird, okay. So hope is not visible outwardly, but within the heart of the bird that forces it to sing, okay. So here is this is what has been indicated, that although something is there within the bird which is forcing her to sing out aloud this beautiful song, okay, and now the speaker is connecting to it and he feels that there is nothing on the earth, although there is no reason, no sign of hope present all around, but still this little bird is out of joy, extreme joy is being expressed through her song, okay. So there is nothing on the earth nearby or far away which could give a reason to this little bird to sing this song, but still this bird is so full of hope. This bird's heart is so full of hope that it is indicating to the speaker that it should also be hopeful. It is teaching to him that it should also he should also be hopeful and search for the positive side in this negativity which is surrounding the whole atmosphere. So anyway, the poem ends on this ambiguous note. The picture is not clear to what it is wanting to present. What is the future going to be, it is not clear, and that is the ambiguity. The note of ambiguity has been presented here. So there, although there is no communication between the man and nature, but still through the nature man is being hinted that he should not lose hope, okay, and find in their future some positivity and remain positive, okay, and keep on moving, and the happy days are surely going to come. So here in short we find that the mood of the speaker, although is lonely and meditative, but still he is able to find some optimism through the natural link, that is the bird, which is the thrush. One more point to be noted out here is that thrush indirectly is hinting to humankind that nothing here is permanent. If there is darkness, there will be brightness also. So here we also see the picture of birth and death, means it is a cycle, it is a continuous cycle. If something dies, again the birth is going to take place. So here the new century is about to take birth. Maybe there is some hope of good to be there found for the humanity. So here it is, the explanation of the total poem. Thank you.